After tearing through Astro Bot during the first 2 days of launch, I wanted to make a quick little review talking about the game. So now we're going to jump right in, starting with gameplay. Gameplay is the most important and best part of the game. It's a 3D platformer, meaning most of the game is spent running around a map, jumping over obstacles, and avoiding or fighting enemies. By default, you have 4 tools to use: a jump, a hover that shoots lasers and damages things, a punch, and a charged punch that makes you spin. These are the core mechanics that are used throughout the game, but these are not the only tools you get. In certain levels, you are given an ability or an item that you will use throughout the full level. Abilities are things like a chicken jetpack to go higher, or a VR headset that slows down time. Items are one-time use things, like a rubber chicken that extinguishes flames, a light bulb that shows hidden paths, or a magnet that collects metal items for you to throw. The maps that include an ability or item are completely built around using it to its full extent. For example, the level where you get the time stop VR has a lot of things that move really fast. The level is casino themed and has things like falling chips or moving darts that you wouldn't be able to jump on without being able to slow down time. Outside of platforming, enemies are also built around a specific ability. Once again, in the casino level, there is a card-themed enemy that throws cards quickly. Using the time slow, you are able to not only avoid them, but also use the cards to get across areas and reach the enemy. Another great example of this is with the chicken jetpack. There is a snake enemy who has a tail that you are able to grab, and when you launch into the air, you pull them up with you, defeating them. And speaking of enemies, the enemies in this game are great, not just the ones that are built around a specific ability. Astro is able to get one-shot by nearly everything, but so are most of the enemies. Thing is, most of the enemies are able to be dealt with in a variety of ways. A basic punch, a charged punch, lasering them, making them fall, or using an ability or item. One of my favorite enemies is a screw with a nut on it, and the only way to kill it is to use the spinning punch attack to unscrew the nut. Stuff like this is what makes enemies feel unique, and most of them have a best way of dealing with them. The game uses everything it has to its full potential, and that is what makes the gameplay of this game so good. The story of this game is super simple and straightforward. An evil alien rips apart the PS5, stealing its CPU and spreading all of the other parts across the galaxy. Astro then has to work his way through different planets, fighting bosses, getting back the PS5 parts, and rescuing lost bots along the way. It's super simple, but effective. Now I'm on to all the extra stuff that I want to talk about, but isn't as major. The game has a very clear, cartoony, robotic, and metallic style that looks super good. The game overall has very clean and good looking graphics. The music is super fun and catchy and fits the game perfectly. The first night after I started playing this game, I went to bed and could still hear the music in my head. Now I want to move on to pros and cons with the game, and I'll actually be starting with cons so I can end on a more positive note. Now, I don't have any major issues with this game. No, this game's horrible because of this. No, none of that. It's mainly stuff that either I wish there was in the game or stuff that was kind of like eh. And the first thing is, the only thing I have to an actual kind of true complaint, or maybe bug, not really, is there's this one level where it's a one-shot level. It's super hard. You have to make it from beginning to end. Can't die. Right? Which is fine as is. I like that. It's a good challenge. But the thing is, there's this one spot where you have to jump over fire, but the fire had a really weird hitbox. So there were some of the times when I was in a run where I would jump over it, I'd be like 2 feet above it and it would kill me. I'm like, what? That's not fair. Cause like I probably did that like 50 times, not dying from the fire, but doing the level like 50 times, and it's like, just, dude, what if that had been the run, you know? But yeah, that's the kind of closest thing to a bug I have. That's the only time I ever experienced anything that was remotely kind of wrong with the game. Um, then next I wish that all the crossover characters were actually, skins you could have in the game. Maybe not every single one, but a good chunk of them are the exact same size as Astro. So I don't know, you clearly have a model for it, and the model fits a character that is identical to Astro. Can you not just throw it on? I don't know, maybe if it's they didn't have physics engines, they don't have to, do that for all the characters, or maybe it was a licensing thing. I don't know, but it's like, come on, dude. There's some great games I would love to actually have to be wearable, and they're like, nope. But it's fine, nothing serious. And then one thing I would consider arguably my biggest problem with the game is that some of the abilities felt underutilized. For example, one of my favorite levels had a mouse ability. And in it, the mouse ability allows you to shrink down. So the level was set up to where you'd have spots where you would need to be normal size, and then spots where you'd be a mouse. So it's like cool, so you could go through like vents or under things or on top of things you normally couldn't quite get to. But they only use that once. Same with, there's like a level where you're a sponge, and like it's kind of the opposite, where you go from normal size to big. And they only use those once throughout the game. Whereas like the chicken jetpack gets used like 2 or 3 times. The dog gets used like 3, 4 times. Stuff like that, where it's like, cool, you have these abilities, but you only have some of them used once, and some of them are really fun and really cool. I would have loved to have a second shrink level, or maybe some bonus level like that has that. I don't know. Or there's a boss fight where it kind of randomly selects your powers, right? And it would have been nice to have that be an option, because there's only like one time you get to use it, and it's just that level, and it's kind of sad to see when it's my favorite thing. But that's my only kind of actual genuine complaint I have. But kind of going from that, I initially had added on this list the fact that there weren't any speedrun levels. In Astro Bot Rescue Mission, the VR game, and Astro Bot Astro's Playroom, the one that came with the PlayStation, both of them had speedrun levels that you could play. And I love them because it tests like how good you are at the mechanics in this game. If you can see, oh, you can make this jump in a certain amount of time to just cut off like a second, but there you go, you make it. I love that because it really does test like how good you are at this platformer if you're able to utilize all of its mechanics. And it was sad to see that it wasn't in this game. But after I had wrote that down, that day I saw on Reddit, I think someone had posted like a screenshot of Twitter or something that was saying that, oh yeah, by the way, we plan on adding more to this game, and one of the things was speedrun levels. So it's like, yeah, let's go. So hey, that's a pro now, because they're going to be adding that, because I wasn't sure if they were going to add to this game. It's a pretty polished game as is. I didn't need anything else, but I was hoping, like, man, I hope they were going to add that, and hey, here they are. I don't know when that's going to happen, probably in a while, but hey, I'll take it. But that also does mean they can add some of those abilities too. They can add a couple more things that use the underutilized powers. Either that could be a boss fight with the mouse or the sponge, or just another level or two with them. And that's great. That gives me hope for the game, makes me like it even more. And talking about me not liking this game, moving on to pros, stuff I've kind of already talked about. The graphics are great, they're fun, they're cute, they're awesome. The music, it's catchy, it's fun. The enemies are built wonderfully. There's a lot of them. They all look unique. They all fit the style of the game. There's a lot of ways to deal with most of them. And even the ones that are dealt with in a specific way are just, it's just peak. The game is incredibly fun. Like that's the most important thing. The game is fun. You can play it. I mean, really, anyone can play it. You know, you can be a child and play it. There's obviously some levels that are a bit harder that might be, you know, not necessarily for kids. But I feel like any kid could probably play through the main game stuff and do a-okay. And then there are these extra levels for people who are a bit older, teenagers, and, you know, so on, that can actually, you know, get a bit more of a challenge out of it and have more fun. This game has a nice little base area, you know, the planet where you run around and all the bots you've collected show up and you can unlock stuff. It's a great little spot to just see your progress and have a little fun with messing around and stuff. The bosses are great. They're all designed well. They're all designed uniquely, and they're just a blast to fight against. And then there are crossover levels. Certain levels throughout the game are like tie-ins to other games. I'm not going to say what they are just in case, you know, it's like, oh, I can't believe they actually have this in here. Anyway, there's not a whole lot, but it is fun to go and be like, oh yeah, so it's just like this game. Even though it's different gameplay, they still have a nice little tie-in to where it's themed to the level, and I love it. The sound in this game is great, because you can hear every, you know, footstep, every ability, everything sounds right, everything fits well. And on top of that, the controller usage is so good. It's peak, dude. Like, the only other game that has gone close to this was Astro's Playroom, right? You can feel every footstep, every punch, every hit, right? And if you play with headphones normally, I recommend taking them off, because so much of the sound actually comes out of the controller. It's so fun to, you know, have like a little bit of sound come out of like your monitor, TV, or surround sound, or whatever you use, but then also so much of it come out of the controller. You can hear all the little guys celebrate and all that. It's just so fun. I highly recommend, like, just, you know, using your controller. Like, go to your settings, crank it up to max to just get the feeling, because it's a blast to do. And yeah, that's pretty much all the extra stuff I wanted to cover with this game. Overall, Astro Bot is an incredible game that is super fun, engaging, and full of heart. This is one of the best games I've ever played, and I highly recommend it to everyone. Especially if you loved Astro's Playroom, you will love this game. And if you haven't played Astro's Playroom and you're thinking about getting this game, play Astro's Playroom 2. It comes free on your PlayStation 5. Just play it, please. I know so many people who haven't. So please, go out, play Astro's Playroom. If you love that, then you are going to absolutely love this game. Thank you for watching my video. Let me know what you thought of Astro Bot if you've played it. I assume I'm only going to hear good things, but I'm intrigued if anyone has any genuine criticism. And once again, thank you for watching.